This is what you would have eaten if you were an American soldier during World War I. Ideally, a soldier was expected to eat 4,600 calories a day to keep up with their vigorous physical activity. American doughboys, which was a term used for soldiers during World War I, were some of the best fed during the war. They ate mutton or beef, potatoes, and bread. Special focus was placed on bread, and food scientists thought that it was essential to winning the war. At the time, Americans consumed nearly 30% of their calories from bread. A major effort for patriotic wheat conservation was made to ensure that the boys on the front line got what they needed. Instant coffee was also a huge staple. It was so popular that the term G.I. Joe lent itself to coffee's nickname, Cup of Joe. Perishable foods were shipped in tin cans, which provided cheap, portable, high-calorie meals. These are tins of meat and vegetable stew from the Great War. Field and mobile kitchens provided hot stews with vegetables, meat, and potatoes. Field bakeries were innovations during World War I that allowed for fresh, hot food to be provided to soldiers in the field whenever possible. The food was often prepared by Red Cross volunteers. The food supply was frequently targeted for attacks by enemies, and it was often hard to get food and supplies to the men on the front lines. So, the doughboys were sent out with reserve rations in case they were cut off from a food supply. These contained over 3,000 calories worth of meat, bread, coffee, and sugar. They were designed to sustain a soldier for 7 days if needed. Soldiers also had access to luxuries such as dairy products, candy, and freshly baked bread that was not available to soldiers in previous wars. Of course, hardtack was also a staple for hungry men that were in the literal trenches. A cracker made of wheat flour, salt, and water, they provided reliable energy. Soldiers were known to dip them in coffee or water to soften them because they were known to chip teeth. It has such a long shelf life that some of the hardtack in museums is theoretically still edible. Of course, times would get desperate, and there are stories of soldiers having to cook rats or horses to survive. Americans at home sacrificed greatly by rationing their food and growing victory gardens to help make sure that the soldiers had enough to eat.